subject is so important to me. Multiple streams of income is so at home with me because I spend a large part of my life in poverty. Don't assume you know what I mean. I grew up in it. I saw it firsthand. And I told myself at the time that maybe the reason for God passing me through that journey is so that I understand poverty. Then as I get out of it, I can now teach his people on how to get out of poverty. I didn't know, what I didn't know is the vision will be coming this quickly. I thought it was meant for later part of my life. So that said, there is a question that Jesus Christ was asked every now and then in the Bible. And the question is, under what authority are you doing this? I love that question so much. And he didn't evade the question. He asked them a question back. And that conversation went there. But the question is, under what authority are you doing this? So someone may say, oh, under what authority are you speaking about this subject? Multiple streams of income. The fact that you started a company may not necessarily position you as someone who can speak about this thing. Have you practiced it? Have you thought about it? And the question will be yes for both. The first time I read a book about multiple streams of income was about, I think, 12 years ago. A book by a guy called Bob Allen. And the title exactly is Multiple Streams of Income. And I learned a lot from that book, and it shaped my life over the last, I would say, maybe 12 years. When I started my journey, I was lucky. I was born into a family where people were doing stuff. My mother was a school teacher who taught Yoruba, but she was also a salesperson. She was always selling for other people. If I look back over what I know now to check what she was doing, I would say she was an affiliate marketer, because we didn't have money, but she could she had goodwill. She'll go to people who had the product, and she would take the product to our school to sell and be collecting the money every month, remitting it back to the business people and taking our own cut of it. And she blew that to being able to go to other schools, go to everywhere else where she could sell. That is what we call affiliate marketing now in this age of the internet. I saw that in my uncle as well, who also did similar thing. I saw that in one of our neighbors who was a teacher, who was also a farmer, and he had tutoring program by the side in the evenings. I saw people with multiple streams of income. I didn't know the name for it, but as I grew older, when I read that book, I understood what it was, and it's something I practiced myself. As far back as 2009, in my final year in school, in the university, I had 3 businesses. I had 2 barber shops, I had a dry cleaning business, and I had a photography business. And I was honored by the state governor at the time, by the commissioner for, I think, enterprise or youth enterprise or something like that, who visited my office and was blown away. I used to be really, really tiny, and with a very, very young face, like a baby face. He couldn't believe when he came into the business. He was like, no, you can't be the owner. It's your father. I said, it's mine. So I hope that qualifies me to be able to speak on this subject. Over the years, over the last 10 years after that, I've also been involved in so many businesses. One thing I will also tell you, I will try to distinguish today, is multiple streams of income is not an excuse for lack of focus. We are going to get there deeply as we go along. It is not an excuse for lack of focus. And one thing I would also like to say is, prayer does not substitute for planning. We are Christians, and we are Nigerian Christians. We know ourselves. My mentor in Christianity is a man called Peter J. Daniels. Peter J. Daniels is an Australian businessman, a very, very rich man. I will advise you to check it out. Check him out. And he's an old man. I hope he's still alive. He's an old man. He has a couple of tapes on YouTube that you can check, and a couple of his books as well. And I learned a lot from him. One of the things I learned from Peter Daniels is being bold and speaking truth in the kingdom of God among Christians, especially where we placate ourselves into believing prayer will answer solve all our problems. Prayer is not what will solve our problems. Planning, knowledge sharing is what will solve our problems. And we should be the lights to the world. We are the light of the world. We are the people that should give direction to the world. If we are in poverty, there's no way anybody will listen to us. I had a conversation with someone where I said, we don't need to preach. Our lifestyle should preach. If you go to Dubai, they don't need to do jihad for you to feel like you want to be one of them. We should build our environment in that manner. Pardon me if you think I'm speaking away from the subject. The reason is this. Multiple streams of income is not something we don't know. Practicing it is easy. What we need is the why. The subtopic for today is what, why, and how. And I've decided to make sure today I spend a lot of my time on why. If we get the why right, we will get, the rest is history. We will get it right. And I also have an action book, a document I'm going to share with everybody where we will fill out and be committed. There's a place for signature there where you write your name and sign to prove to yourself that you're going to be committed to multiple streams of income. It is not hard to do. It is easy. Excuse me. What is hard to do is how. If you have the how, the way forward to do it, to doing it is easy. Trust me, multiple streams of income is easy to do. It is simple. By the time we analyze it, you'll see how simple it is. What is hard is why you should do it. What Brother Paul just said about the willpower to do it. And there's a reason I mentioned Peter J. Daniels in the course of my introduction. I've never seen anybody motivate Christians and being blunt in the way Peter J. Daniels does it. We are going to be a disappointment to the kingdom of God if we do not become the light of the world. We are not beggars. We are not peddlers. We are not people who are subjected to whatever comes our way. We are a people that are supposed to take the kingdom of the world and teach them the gospel through our action. No words. We speak everywhere. We have churches everywhere. By our action, by our lifestyle, by what we do, that is how we are going to change the kingdom. And what it means is that is our motivation for doing it. It's a disappointment to God if we don't do it. It is not, I'm not trying to make money as a way to make my life good or to flamboyantly, as a way to represent God on earth, to be able to push the kingdom with my resources. That is why we are doing it. If you see yourself as a steward of your life, of your resources, you will think about everything differently. If you see yourself as having achieved everything you have, oh, now I have this now, it is mine, then you're going to think about it differently. If you see yourself as a steward, which we have, you will know that you are supposed to maximize your potential. I don't want to quote the Bible a lot, but we are supposed to maximize our potential as an expression of our obedience to God. It is not something we just do. It is our obedience to God. It's a proof of love. It's a proof of kinship with God to make sure we maximize what we do. We are going to go into multiple streams of income now, but you need the motivation to know why. I'll give you another one. The single reason for poverty in the next generation is the poverty in the last generation. I mentioned that I experienced poverty. The reason, now knowing what I know for growing up in poverty, was because my parents were poor. Is the number one reason. Because you cannot pass down what you do not have to the next generation. If you do not maximize the potential, you're going to pass down your mediocrity to the next generation, and they will barely do more than you did. Barely. I want you to go out, apart from the creative industry, entertainer and musicians, go show me from today, take note. How many people have done significantly more than their parents? It's always a little step ahead of their parents. Very few people jump from, I grew up in Mushi, my dad was a mechanic too. Now I'm Otedola. Very, very few. And the reason is not because they can't do it, because they don't have the brain power, it's because the parent could not pass down what they did not have. Maximizing our potential is more important because we can pass it down to the next generation. You don't need to give them money. If at the dinner table you talk about financial analysis, they understand how to do marketing, they understand how to do sales. By the time they are growing up, they already practice all of that. When they grow up, take away your money. Let us bury you with all your money. Those children will be rich. Those children will amass their own resources because you pass down the most important thing to them. So if you are looking for motivation why we should do this, first, it is the commandment. It is our expression of obedience to God. It is our expression of kinship to God, to our Maker, who has called us to go into the world and be the light. Secondly, if you do not achieve your potential, you will pass down the mediocrity to the kid. There's no two way about it. So the motivation is clear, and we need to know what we are going to do. The next step is to talk about what multiple streams is, or what they are, and how to go about it. So there's a reason why I wanted to find out what we do, like what sphere of life do we operate in? Do we work as professionals for companies? Do we run our own businesses, or are you a student or just starting out in life? Because when it comes to multiple streams of income, these three categories need to approach it differently. If I'm a professional, I work for a company, I cannot take multiple streams of income advice the same way an entrepreneur will take it. And in the same way, someone who's just starting out in life will take it. So I will cover these three broad categories and see how do we go forward from there. By definition, it is simple. Multiple streams of income is just having many ways through which money comes into your hand. Oh, I work as an employee of a company, but when I come back in the evening, I run an online course for students and I make money from there. And every Sunday after church, I have a kiosk where I sell something, I make money from it. That's the third source of income. If you look at it broadly before we go into the specifics, what it means is I have multiple ways through which money comes into my hand. Now to the specifics. If you do 9 to 5 and you wake up by maybe 5 in the morning to work, do the first job of catering for the family, then you enter the traffic to go to work, you get back very late, you're tired. The question will be, do you want to kill me? What multiple streams do you want me to do? I do not have the time. One big impediment to multiple stream will be time for people who are professionals. I also have certifications to write for my profession. I also have a lot of these things to do. How do I get the time to do multiple streams? I don't even know how to do business. That's another reason. I don't know how do I do business. I don't know how to sell. I can barely argue in the market. Every time I go to buy pepper, they always cheat me. How do I do business? So we write ourselves off for all these reasons. One, I don't have the time. Two, I don't know how to do business. Three, oh, where do I get the money? My salary before I even collect them, it don't finish. I have to borrow money. I have to do all of this. I cannot do multiple streams. I don't have the means to do multiple streams. I think I have another point. We tell ourselves different reasons why we cannot go on the journey of multiple streams of income. My experience in life has shown me that people approach multiple streams and they've conquered it in different ways. Let's start by going into what it means for a professional. If you want to keep track of what we've said, we've talked about what multiple streams is. Do we agree multiple streams of income means I have a funnel that has multiple mouths. It brings money from every of my engagements in different things. We also talk about the motivation for doing it. And of course, I gave my answer to the question, under what authority are you doing this? So let's move on to the next stage. What does it mean for you as a professional? I think the people that have the biggest challenge towards multiple streams of income are usually the professionals. By the way of sharing background, I've been in Nigerian corporate world for a long time. I mean, in and out over almost 10 years before launching my own business. I used to work in fintech as a software engineer. I worked leading teams, engineering teams and stuff. So I understand what it means not to have time. I also understand what it means not to have money to do multiple streams. So for you as a professional, what does it mean? Especially in the age of the internet. So one thing that also makes that I'm going to be sharing is storebounty.com is a platform where we are helping people create another stream of income. So especially professional, we have a category where we design tools to cater to professionals who want to start multiple streams or who work full time. And I'm not sure if my friend is still here. I invited one of my friends to be here, whose story I will be sharing in a little while, where you work as a full-time professional, but you also run your private business by the side in a way that suits you. So we're going to talk about different ways that it may suit you as a professional to be able to have multiple streams of income. So we are ruling out the fact that we are standing on the ground that you don't have a lot of time. What type of multiple streams can you engage in when you don't have a lot of time? One would be the skills that you sell to your employer. Can you sell it to somebody else? I mean, the skill directly. So you should be consulting. Can you sell that skill? I work as a software engineer and I've led teams. And if my time permits, one of the streams of income I plan to generate this year is consulting for companies. I'm looking for how to streamline my time in order to incorporate it. I've learned a lot in my industry. I've seen people develop software and it failed. I've been part of software that really succeeded. I have learned a lot. Can I sell that expertise to companies and I get paid by the side? If you know a man called Leke Halder, he's a kingdom man himself. I remember something he said maybe like 15 years ago. It's been a long time, that he charged 12 million naira 12 million naira per Saturday session of consulting. One of my mentors is Kule Shoriyan, very, very intelligent man.
Exactly.
He said something that there was a company that called him. He was flying from Abuja to Benin. That he called him when they were on flights that they needed him in Lagos. He told them he would be flying over. And I'm talking about years ago, maybe like a decade ago. When he got to Lagos, he went to the company and they tabled the problems that they have. And within 45 minutes, they already solved the problem and they paid him, I think, 3 million naira or something like that. I also remember one of my professors in school, professor of biology, who said a company called him, they needed a reaction, they wanted to check something, and he did it for them for 1 million naira. The skills that you sell for your company, can you sell it to other people? We're going to get to the concept of marketing yourself shortly, because that's where I think the problem is. You can sell the skills you have. So when we talk about multiple streams of income, we are not saying go and start selling on Instagram if you're a professional. You don't have the time to go to the market. You don't know how to bargain. You don't know how to do all those things. But the skills you sell in a box, can you sell it to somebody else? That is one way. The second one is the skills that you sell to the company where you work. Can you teach it to other people and they pay you for it? You are in HR. There are many Nigerian graduates that are graduating, that are coming out of school every year. They do not know what to do. They do not know where to go to in life. Can you organize a session where you teach them about human resources and the roles human resources play in the corporate environment? And after enlightening them about it, you set them a course on how to become an HR professional, where you teach them the steps for them to get certifications and how to write their CVs, how to get internship. Can you make money from that? You're thinking that's a lot of work. It doesn't have to be. It's a Saturday to maybe do it in your church, or you do it at anywhere you could meet them, or put it on in the video on social media and advertise to them. And when you get these people within your confine, you continue to sell them courses on how to be professional HR. You could do it virtually. I mean, the age is now there where people are comfortable taking lectures virtually. As a matter of fact, nobody wants to travel. And that increases what you can do to them. One, can you sell consulting? Two, can you sell training? Alongside training is mentorship. My friend I'm about to share a story with you mentioned something when she said, "Oh, she's selling training," and she said she wants to also sell mentorship where people pay monthly. And I was really impressed. Like, okay, because after you've trained someone, they pay for the training, and maybe 6 weeks training that they're done. They may need mentorship. They may want access to you to be able to ask you questions. Their initial payment didn't cover that. It says, "I'm going to teach you for 6 weeks." But people say, "Oh, I want to be your mentor. I pay you monthly for this amount of time of meeting with you and you being able to answer my questions when I need it." There's nothing. Before we go on, please, everything I've said, if you have any question around it, please write it down so that you ask me, or you have an objection, a reason why it may not work. So for you as a professional, we're talking about you being able to sell your expertise to another company or being able to sell your knowledge to people that need it. There are general streams of income that come to everybody, which we may not see ourselves as being in that light, and that is intellectual property. I was privy to meet with some telecom guys back in the days, and what they do is they seek out people that could. If you remember days where we used to buy color ringback tunes, they will meet with these people. Maybe, for example, you know how to speak Igbo very well or sing some local dialect. They meet with them and say, "Hey, I want you to speak this thing for me because a few people want to be able to use it for their color ringback tunes." One of the ways those people negotiated with these telecom players was to say, "Okay, I'm going to sing it for you, but for every money you make on it, I'm going to get a cut, which is called royalty." There is pretty much nobody that cannot create something that you sell on royalty, an intellectual property that you put out there. I'm saying it as a general thing that do not rule out anywhere, any means by which you can make multiple streams. Royalty is one very key way. As a matter of fact, one of the ways to really get rich is by having intellectual property, a royalty. If you condition your mind to IP ways, that's intellectual property ways, you will be shocked at how many innovations that will be coming from you in the year. Because now you've conditioned your mind to say, "I want to create something, maybe a piece of music, poetry, or anything where that I can now give to people and missions as they use it." That makes it the number 4 if you're writing it down. And the next one would be ebooks. So Stop Anti is a very, very young company. But I remember back in the days, one of our competitors published some of their doings, some of their finances, and their monthly transaction volume for Nigerians who are selling ebooks, video courses, and stuff was $1 million a month. Nigerians are already making money online, selling everything from everything, not just selling shoes and bags on Instagram. They sell everything and anything that you can imagine. I saw someone who calls herself a marriage counselor. All she does is she will crop out videos of couples having issues and stuff, and she will give her opinion about it. And at the end of the video, every video, she will say something like, "Go to my bio and book a session. Are you having marriage problem? Go to my bio and book a session." And I checked. I didn't see where she has any certification or anything in marriage counseling, but she read law in school. Knowledge of what marriage is supposed to be because she's married, she sells it online for money. She sells it online for money. That brings us to the next one. You can write an ebook. You can pretty much come up with anything. Do you have an opinion? Do you have an opinion about marriage, for example? Do you have an opinion about how to buy at Balogun Market? Do you know Lagos very well? What can you do that while you're in your office during your lunch break, you can create a content, you can create a piece of content, a piece of ebook, put it together. I wrote an ebook one time, not too long ago, about how to run a dry cleaning business. Because I remember I used to run a dry cleaning business back in the days in school. And everything I learned about it, I decided to put it in a book. I don't remember the last time I did the dry cleaning business, but like more than 5 years or 8 years ago. But I still have the knowledge. I still have some of the books that we used, and I decided to crop it out and put it in an ebook to sell. And I have people calling me from everywhere, Port Harcourt, everywhere, that they wanted to buy the book. What you know that you don't know the value of, there's somebody in Enugu who needs that thing. They don't live in Lagos. You have access. You don't know so much how much privilege you have, especially if you live in Lagos, that people have so many needs. It's 7 billion people or 8 billion people in the world. People have so many needs that of knowledge that they want. If you just position yourself as the person that can give it to them in whatever format. I understand many people cannot face and sell by themselves, creating videos and all of that. But can you write an ebook? Can you create a piece of content where your face is not there, if you're not comfortable, and offer it to the world? Those are multiple streams of income by which you can generate money if you are a professional. How many have we discussed now? Can someone remind us? Can you read it for us?
So you mentioned if we can sell consulting, number one.
Right.
And then you talked about training and mentorship.
Right.
And then you mentioned royalty, intellectual properties, and ebooks.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Because I genuinely believe that when we go to the entrepreneurship side of it, entrepreneurs already sort of have an inclination towards creating multiple streams of income. Where I see the problem might be is around us that are professionals. We feel tied up, we feel caged by our job, especially we've been doing it for a long time, that we don't know how to get out of it. So what does it mean for an entrepreneur to want to come up with multiple streams of income? Multiple of income in entrepreneurship, because I genuinely love the concept of focus on one thing. So for an entrepreneurship who sells, maybe you sell online. I will use an example of one of our customers on Store Bounty. She sells kitchen utensils, and she has done amazing with almost 100,000 followers on Instagram, selling kitchen utensils. The last time we had a conversation, she said she has created another store because she wanted to diversify, and now she sells interior decor pieces. And she's building it. She has built the followership, I think, to 2,000 followers now. She uses the same physical location to house the goods, but now she runs multiple Instagram pages, social media pages for these two businesses. To say we have done so well, we have a lot of customers from our kitchen utensils, but now we want to diversify into interior decor. For entrepreneurship, I won't dwell so much on it because I feel that is one way. We'll call it in professional business, having different line items. You see, a Nestle has Milo, which is the drink, the powder. They have Milo, the drink. They have a bunch of every other product line that they sell. You see Coca-Cola having Eva water as a way to generate multiple streams of income. We see that in the market, the need for water is so high. We have the facility we are already using to produce Coca-Cola. Can we use it to produce water and sell along the line? We've also produced Fanta. We also have a lot of other brands. So as entrepreneurs, as we are in the market, maybe I'm selling shoes. Can I sell polish? Because every time people come to buy shoes, they probably need polish. So I can upsell them at the time of their purchase. Or we sell shoes. Whoever is buying shoes, would they need socks at the same time? And we carry more products, which means for every single location that we operate, we are maximizing our sales. Because for every customer that walks in for shoes, we hope to be able to sell them on socks. We hope to be able to sell them on other things that we sell. So for entrepreneurship, it's easier. If you notice something I've not been talking about intentionally, maybe some people had in mind that I was going to talk about it, is cryptocurrency, stocks, and real estate. So before we go to, the part of, we have already talked about what to do. And I said, I'm going to give out an action step where we will sit down, analyze our lives, and be able to point out what we can likely do, and commit ourselves to it. So let's go to this last part before and I go into conclusion, which is what I call wealth generation means and wealth preservation means. Wealth generation means and wealth preservation means. There is a need for people to generate wealth, and there's also the need for us to preserve it. Most of the time, when people see big entrepreneurs who have a lot of businesses, I will tie back to what Mr. Kevin said in the beginning. We see a Dangote has this huge number of businesses, and Elon Musk having many businesses, and we think, oh, I want to have multiple streams of income. I want to have multiple streams of income without any alignment to what we currently do. Then we miss it. For you starting out in life, still barely surviving or just having barely above survivor, you are not a Dangote that is supposed to go all out and start creating all kinds of businesses. You need to think about, are you at the stage where you are focused on wealth generation, or are you at the stage where you are focused on wealth preservation? I had a distant uncle growing up that had about, I stopped counting. I didn't know more about them. Maybe about 20 houses all over the Southwest. He was into building houses. But initially, he was in business. He's always been in business. He's still in business all his life. And what I found is every time he eats it big in business, he takes the money and go into real estate and put the money there. Every time he eats it big, he put it there. And he was buying houses or building houses everywhere. One other thing he was using those houses for was borrowing money from the bank. So if he runs into any situation where he needs to borrow money, he will pick the documents of those books, of those houses, and go and use them to borrow money to boost his business. And because of that, he has a lot of houses, like more than 20. When I hear real estate people in Lekki say, hello, investors, are you going to buy land? People are buying land. I'm thinking in my head, this professional who wants to buy this land or buy these houses, are you trying to preserve wealth, or are you trying to generate wealth? Are you at the stage in your life where you're trying to generate wealth, or at the stage in your life you're trying to preserve wealth? Before you start talking about multiple streams of income and which one you do, ask yourself this very question: generating wealth or preserving wealth? For most people, they are at the stage where they are trying to generate wealth. It means real estate, stock, and the likes of crypto is not for you. One, crypto is volatile, stock is volatile. They do not generate revenue every year in a way that can build wealth for you. Nigerian real estate is double-edged. But let's talk about stocks and crypto and the likes of them and those digital assets. They do not generate enough revenue for you to build wealth. So, for example, I work in a company and I earn 500,000, but I'm hoping to build wealth from buying stocks or from buying crypto. Now, people have built wealth over the years, or they've seen their stocks grow over the years in many occasions. We bought Google 10 years ago, Google stock 10 years ago, you're probably a multi-millionaire right now. The problem with stocks is the people that are really make it big in stocks are typical people that want to preserve their wealth. For you who's trying to generate wealth, you need something that has a higher yield and you have control over. So you need to ask yourself, what are the things that have a higher risk and I have control over? You need control. When you buy stocks of a company, you don't have control. When you buy crypto doesn't grow in order to make you rich that way. For someone who makes $100,000 a month from his business, and the money is accumulating, he has millions of dollars in his account, and they're saying, why are you keeping this money in the bank? Why not buy crypto? There's a chance that crypto will grow. Even if it doesn't grow, he has a need to preserve his wealth and diversify in that manner because he wants to preserve it. That guy is also saying, oh, why can't you come to Lekki and buy this piece of real estate? That guy has a need to preserve his wealth. So he goes to Lekki and he buys 10 houses at once to keep his money there. He's not trying to use that one to grow his wealth. He's trying to use them to preserve his wealth. Most of what I say around stock, crypto, and real estate is mostly for people trying to preserve their wealth. You, as a professional or young entrepreneur, you need to be more aggressive in a way to create wealth. Right. So wealth generation are things that can grow faster, like starting a business. One way to diversify or to even grow faster might be, do you want to put all your money into getting certification that will help you to earn more money? Because that could be an investment. Do you want to go for a master's? Are you sure if I get this MBA from Lagos Business School, I'm not going to be able to get a job at Samsung or something? Then my earning potential will go all up. That might be your own strategy to answer this question of wealth generation and wealth preservation. So those are the reasons why I didn't mention those in when I'm talking about what you can do as an entrepreneur as a way of doing your multiple streams of income. They don't generate income. These three don't generate income. They help you in preserving your wealth and they can grow it over time, yes, but they do not generate income. Oh, you can say maybe if I buy a house and I rent it out, I get rent from it. It looks like it generates income, but in the terms of the cost of money, especially in Nigerian context, cost of money is so high that there's no amount of money you get from rent that can offset how much money it costs you to put that house there. There's none. We don't have the time. I will have proven that to you. So be careful when you want to take real estate as a way to generate wealth. But when you are in a state where you want to preserve some of your wealth, go for real estate. It's the safest of the three of them. Now, I think I've exhausted my time, and I think I've thought about. So let me talk a bit about my friend, Janet. She works as a full-time professional in cybersecurity. Then she runs an online school for people, especially women who want to learn cybersecurity, who want to change career into cybersecurity. And she's a startup founder, co-founding with some people, building some schools for children using artificial intelligence to teach children, generate courses for them on the fly, and all of that. And she talks about mentorship, selling all those things. She's able to squeeze all of that around one single skill. She's in cybersecurity and she's trying to do everything around that line, and she has multiple streams of income. You see what I said about it is not an excuse for you to be scattered. Everything she learns at her job as a cybersecurity professional is what she's selling in her training to the students. She learns more. As she teaches, she learns more. It's also part of what she's using in her startup, and the mentorship she's doing, she's running it for that. You can do the same if you're in HR, if you're in customer support. And so many companies do not know how to start their own customer support centers. They do not know how to run anything. You can reach out to those companies, branding, whatever you are, you can have multiple streams around the same one skill that you have. So multiple stream doesn't mean you go all out and you start doing all kind of stuff. And if at the stage you are, you don't see any of this happening, you may want to learn a skill, then channel these multiple streams around the same single skill. I love that question. And you also touched on something that I almost forgot to touch on, which is how do you get up when you're failed? Or how do you even overcome the fear of failure? When we think of diversify, we tend to think about starting something completely new, or maybe something parallel, but still not the same thing we're doing. One way big businesses analyze what to do next, the intention of what they do, is not based on they are just feeling like want to start something. Most of the time, it's based on seeing that this particular thing we offer to the market does not satisfy every need of the market that we see. I'll give you an instance. Store bounty, for example, even that we're just starting, we are already seeing ways we are going to diversify. In that the branding of the name, the branding, and everything that we push out does not satisfy every niche of the market that we see. We see the creative industry market is so big, but the branding that we currently push around appeals to more of the retail and the FMCG industry. We know it, but we are focused on that, and we are going to drill very well into those two, retail and FMCG. When we have gone deep in that, we are going to launch another brand with a new name, a new website, but everything will run under store boundary that will cater to these other industry that we have identified. How did we identify it? In our push to tell people to use our platform, we see that some people reach out and we see there is a need in the market. So let's bring it home to someone who runs a food business. I have a food business in Surulere, for example, and every time people come, they want to buy food. They say, you don't deliver. Don't you have home delivery? They're already telling you your next business. How do you incorporate a system to do home delivery? Which means that means a large portion of the people that could be coming to your restaurant to eat are not buying from you because they would have wanted it at home. Can you create a new line of home delivery section that generate more revenue? That might be your diversification. Can we do restaurant food delivery to people in the office? Maybe a whole company, they need their staff, they want to give free food to their staff. Can we market ourselves as that we do that? Can we also deliver for people that want to do celebration of all kinds, birthdays, anything? Do we want to, because we know how to cook food. This is what we do, and everybody has come to our restaurant, they enjoy what they buy from us. If we decide to look at how can we sell our food more, that can be what we stand as our own diversification. Not necessarily we know how to do food, but now we want to be selling meat in the market or something like that. It's completely out of business for us. We need to look within and look at the customer section or segment that we are not satisfying in any way and build those channels. So that would be my response to that. The fear base, I want to touch on it because it's really, really important to me. I've seen people attend seminars like this. I mean, there's nothing new about us being here listening to, no matter how interesting we find the conversation, there's nothing new. The question you ask is why we don't do it, which is why I address so much on why. And one core thing why we don't do it is fear, that fear of failing or fear of failing again. And I will tell you the way I deal with fear in my life. I do it because I am called to do it. You know, when you go to church, you see preachers who say, I'm a man of God, I'm called to do this. I see myself every single day I wake up as I am called to do this IT thing. That is my own calling. This is how I am propagating the gospel. This is what I am supposed to do. It is not something I'm doing because I love. This is something I am supposed to do. If I fail at it, I am not failing because I am called to do this. And this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm starting again. It's not so much of a problem for me. I can live under the gutter. I don't mind. I don't care. This is my calling. This is what I would give my account to as a steward. So when you're thinking of failing and you're thinking of what you fail, think about you failing God that has put you in that position to start a business. Do you want to think about what people will say, or do you want to talk about you disappointing your maker? Because this is what you're supposed to do. You have this knowledge. You're so intelligent. You are so gifted in many things, but you're afraid of failing in the face of men. What will men will say when you're not afraid of failing in doing what God will say? We read the Bible where He said, "I gave you a talent. You went to bury it." What do you think it means? It means I put ideas in your mind and you did not actualize it. You are a waitful servant. When you look at yourself as a steward, there is nothing that can stop you, because I'm not doing it for me. If I'm failing, I'm moving on because I'm doing this because there's nothing else I want to do in my life. And I give you another thing. Everybody that knows you now, everybody that you know now, nobody will remember any of us in the next 3 generations. Nobody. I mean, do you know your grandparents' friends? Do you know the friends that your grandparents have? You don't. You barely know your parents' friends. Which means, imagine your grandparent did not take action because they thought those people would judge them. Now nobody remembers all of them, and the judge and the judgee and everybody, they are gone. which gives us the liberation to say, I'm going to live my life. What if I fail? I'll be gone. You that you did not fail, you're gone. Nobody will remember anything. And it liberates me to say, I'm just going to do this thing because I feel like I love it and I feel it's a calling for me to do. So jump again or jump at all, do it. If you fail, then what? And you will discover so much about yourself. This is another session to tell you so much about the hurdles that I faced in my life. But if I could tell you, you will be wowed. But the mindset is, I do not care if I fail because I don't know what else I'm going to do in my life. This is a calling given to me by my maker. The same way a pastor will stand on the pulpit and say, God called me. The same way I'm going to tell you now that God called me to do this. So that would be my answer to the question of fear. The first thing I would do if I'm in a private session with you is let's list out how to get you out of that job fast. You should never, nobody should have a job like that. So your first call is, how do I get out of this job fast? That might take you 2 years, might take you 3 years. Take your time planning out. You need to get out of that job. When you're out, then now start planning multiple streams of income. I have these skills, or I'm in this line of business, and I want to go into another line of business that's completely different from the one I currently do. There is no problem around starting things that are completely out of themselves, that are not related in any way. No, it's not a big deal. The only problem is you may not be able to consolidate your efforts and knowledge. So let's go back to example of my friend in cybersecurity. She doesn't need to spend hours reading about. Let me give you an example of what. Let's say instead of studying a course in cybersecurity, she wants to teach people in design, in Photoshop design. That means she goes to work, she does cybersecurity. When she comes back, she has to go and be studying design. She doesn't have any reason to do design at work. Now, the efforts are not consolidating. If I am teaching cybersecurity and I go to work and there is a threat on our environment and I fought the hackers and all of that, all those things that I learned in my next training, I'm likely easily I'm going to share it with my student and they will learn firsthand. So I'm becoming more of an authority the more I solve problems. But for you now, in this case, it scatters your effort. But if there's no other way, no other means to do it, then it's okay. Just know that your effort is divided in many ways.